And the whole time, my whole body was like, oh my God, I want to teach entrepreneurship. First of all, I'd never taken a business class ever in my entire life. I hadn't been in a classroom since 1996. And then 2 weeks later, I meet Nina, and she asks me if I want to do this. So I just had all these green flags that were like, you should do this. And I love it so much.
Hi, guys. Welcome to Response Able with Professor Nikki James. I mean, louder is better in my opinion.
I think so.
Because then we can yell. I feel like I have a fake loud voice. Because if I actually screamed right now, I would be super loud. Julie teaches with me in social innovation and entrepreneurship, and she brings a wealth of experience from her amazing career journey. From an assistant manager at Starbucks in Chicago while she was still in high school, through founding an amazing global company, to transitioning into mentoring and many, many other things. She has been an impact-focused entrepreneur since day one, but what you'll learn from her story is she might not have known that from the beginning. So let's jump in and hear from Julie Meyer. So welcome. Thanks so much for joining us. It would be really great if you could kick off by introducing yourself, and let's just acknowledge that this is really weird because we see each other and have these conversations all the time because we work together. So I think it's really fun to acknowledge that it's a bit awkward all of a sudden having the cameras on or the recording on, but I'm sure we'll relax and get into it a little bit.
100%. 100%. It is an absolute pleasure to be here with you, Nikki. And I tell you this all the time, how grateful I am that you appeared in my life. It has been such a treat to learn from you and to work with you and to experience this new part of my career with you. And when you said you were doing a podcast, I was like, that's so cool. I can't wait to hear more. And I hope one day she asks me to be a guest.
Yay!
And here I am.
You're guest 9.
I manifested it. Lucky 9.
Woohoo!
Amazing. So it is a thrill. I'm very excited for this conversation. I'm very excited for this podcast that you started.
Awesome. All right. And do you remember how we met? I know you said you're excited that I'm in your life, and ditto, but do you remember how we met? Because I actually don't.
I think I was sitting outside your office because I didn't have an office. So we work at Northeastern University in the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Department. And there's a multiple of offices with doors and all that. And then the lowly adjuncts at that time had kind of a shared space outside of the office. That was, and I wasn't there that much. So that was fine. And I think your door was open. And I think I just peeked my head in and said hi. And you turned around and then you were like, so cool and Australian and just like full of energy. And we just started chatting. And I think we started immediately annoying all of our colleagues.
Yeah.
I think they were like, oh no, these two laugh. They're happy.
We have fun in the office.
They're having fun. They're joking. And this might not be a good thing. But I think a lot of them have come around on enjoying our infectious energy and laughter.
I would agree with that. I honestly feel like there's a lot more energy around the office now.
Yes.
We led the charge with that, which is really amazing. Okay.
You're welcome, Northeastern University.
Entrepreneurship and innovation.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, so funny. So I guess the origins of this podcast for me was around having a better understanding of career journeys, particularly in this social impact space, because often I found, like, my experience was that social innovation, social enterprise didn't exist as a thing. When I was graduating, you were either in the not-for-profit or the for-profit world. There wasn't really a mix of both. And so I think slowly at some point, probably in my late 20s, the social innovation, entrepreneurship, impact space became like a fourth space. And no one was educated in it. everyone just kind of like went, oh, this seems to be the thing that I'm already trying to work out for myself. And so we all kind of like jumped in. And now we have, like, we're both professors in social innovation and entrepreneurship, and there's a whole like industry, and students come and study specifically to do this. But the pathway isn't as clear as, hey, you want to be a lawyer? Here's the 10 steps that you take to be a partner in a law firm one day, or whatever. It's really unclear because it is very open. So I wanted to create this podcast as a way of showing different journeys, and how they go in the ebbs and flows, and how you really have to cobble it together and trust the process.
Yes.
So can you tell me a little bit about like what you studied at university, and then how you got from university to kind of being in the impact space, and maybe where in that process you actually realized you were in the impact space?
That is the best part of the question, because it was very, very far into the journey. I'm a little bit older than you are. Not that old, but a little bit older than you are. So for me, it was even later that impact became kind of a word or a thing. But just starting off in my background, I actually was an international relations major. And I think I was not a good student. I was actually a terrible student. I actually was a horrible, no good, bad student. And I think it was actually because I didn't really love school. I loved to work. I started working like when I was in 8th grade and had, 8 jobs by the time I graduated from high school. And the most impactful for me was actually I started working at Starbucks in 1991 in high school. I'd worked at a different coffee shop, and they opened the 26th Starbucks in the country, in the first in Chicago. And I loved it so much, I became an assistant manager.
At high school?
Yes. I would ride my bike in Chicago, winters like this, to the store at 5:30 in the morning, open it, drink, 8 tons of coffee, go to high school, come back and close the store. And I had keys to the store. And my senior year of high school, they flew every assistant manager and manager to Seattle to meet Howard Schultz when they opened the 100th store. And we all got $100. And it really changed my life. So at that moment,
wow,
as, a 17-year-old who didn't love school, but kind of knew like work was really like my spot, to see this amazing businessman, obviously he's not, he's basically an entrepreneur and basically, a social impact business person, talk about the meaning of what Starbucks was at that time. And they opened the 100th store, imagine, totally changed the game for me. And I actually really took school a lot more seriously and figured, this is probably my best ticket. And I graduated working initially in public relations. That was actually my first career at a big global PR agency, Ogilvy Public Relations in Chicago, which is where I'm from. And when I got there, as a new grad, and they were like, well, we could put you on the Quaker account, or we could put you on Oracle, Quaker Oats or Oracle. And luckily I ended up on Quaker. And I found this whole career of nutrition communication. So basically communicating about the health benefits of food. I had always, been tracking nutrition and food and health and all that as well. But I also was really interested in business. So this was the first time that there was a food-specific health claim on a tube of oatmeal saying that oats will lower cholesterol. That was my first project. So I worked with all these global researchers. I worked with, folks at the FDA. Or I didn't, our group was working with them to talk about the health benefits of oatmeal. And then we did these really fun consumer activations, getting people to eat oatmeal every day for 30 days, lower their cholesterol. And I was like hooked. But Nikki, the one thing I hated was working for somebody else. Because both my parents are professional services business owners, and I am an only child. And they are only children. And I just came from a very hardworking family of business owners. So the fact that I had a boss that would tell me what to do, and I had to go to the same place 5 days in a row. Nikki, I went Monday, Tuesday.
Oh my God.
And they were like, you have to come back on Wednesday. I was like, I was literally just here for 2 days. I don't understand. And then 2 more days after that, 5 in a row. So at 24, I was like, you know what? This isn't for me. Peace out. I'm going to go start my own consulting practice. Did I just mention I was 24 years old? Okay. Like what I thought I was consulting on?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even know, but it didn't matter. I was like, I'm out of here. So I took my 2 years of nutrition communications at the PR agency and started my own little consultancy, and I was consulting for different PR agencies and food companies. I went back to school to become a dietitian so I could be really specialized. So I think the impact of health and food and business was the first time, that was like what that was, but I had absolutely no clue that there was a word for it, that there was a purpose for what I was doing. So I can go on forever, but basically I ended up taking that concept. I lived in China, so I started a business there called Eat Well Shanghai. And I worked with Chinese companies that were looking to sell healthier food to foreigners living in China, and ended up working with international companies looking to connect with the Chinese market. And I saw this global need. So I started a company from there called Eat Well Global, which is a specialized consulting firm that works in nutrition and sustainability strategy and communications for the biggest food companies on the planet. So everybody from PepsiCo to Unilever to McDonald's to the American Egg Board, et cetera. And our work is really focused on helping those organizations create a sustainable nutrition strategy and implement and communicate that strategy. So we helped companies like PepsiCo transform their portfolio for reduced fat, reduced sugar, reduced sodium. We helped organizations develop nutrients to add to their products to make some of their products more nutritious, more affordable, et cetera. And we provided that strategy.
Wow, so good. So you were a social entrepreneur and impact entrepreneur before you even knew what that was.
I literally had no idea. And the main part of my story around this, I really have to share, is that not only did I not know, I don't know if I would, if you said, here are 5 things that are important that you need to think about as a business owner, impact would have not even probably been on that top 5. But I had a business partner who I met, and we started working together, and I integrated into the business, Erin Kappelhoff, who would be an amazing guest for your podcast, based in Amsterdam. And she is like totally focused on this. And she really helped me see the benefit of having that impact focus as part of our business. Or actually not even just the benefit, but really like seeing that our work was impact work. I just don't think I saw it. And she was our champion in 2017 to say, we have to become a certified B Corp. This new thing has emerged. Like, here's what we have to do. And I was like, this is ridiculous. This is going to take so much time. It's going to take so much money. I don't understand. She'd have to keep selling me over and over again. So Erin, shout out to you, because you were very like adamant, and I could be tough to negotiate with. She's smiling right now. And
you created the impact version of Julie.
Yes, she really did. She's amazing. And she runs the company now. And so we became a B Corp, and we were able to talk about that. And then I got to know a little bit more about it. And, I think it's hard. I tell my students at the beginning, I teach global social enterprise, and I tell my students at the very beginning of the class, this is not easy. And this isn't for everybody. And that's okay. I think to say like all businesses can make an impact and all businesses should make an impact and you should always be thinking of impact. I don't know if that is for everybody. But I think when you are able to balance the business and the impact, wow. That is like next level. And it's just been so cool to see this, to your point, become a discipline, become something students come to learn about, be something that there's academic research on. There's huge communities around it. So I think that's really exciting.
I love that your journey into this space was almost from the opposite for me. I kind of came into this space from the not-for-profit sector and was a little bit disgruntled with the mismanagement of the ridiculous amounts of money that this very large not-for-profit had because of its status and how long it had existed and all the people that knew about it and knew it did good work. But we were doing the same thing we were doing when the organization was founded 109 years ago, without questioning whether that was still relevant. And so when I, a little 23-year-old manager of the youth department, came in and went, well, like, why are we still doing this? It was almost sacrilege. And so I kind of came into this like impact space or the business and doing good with business space from almost that other side.
Yeah.
I wanted to do good with my career and then realized that there was a need to put business principles behind it. And it's almost like you got pulled in.
Yes, I wanted to make money first. I just wanted to make a big
direction.
business that my dad was going to be proud of me for.
Right.
Yeah. And then it was like, oh, okay, well, I don't know. Let's try it. To your point, I think we need everybody in the space.
100%.
Yeah.
I think that's what's really cool about it. And I talk to my students a little bit about the need to be middleware. Yeah. So that is a very technology term. And I have to shout out my former boss, Wes Sonnenreich from Fractera for that one. He always used to tell me, like, there was a season, I think it was in the 80s or 90s, where middleware, which was like technology that helped other technologies talk to each other, became really popular. And then everybody decided that they wanted to build their own. And so there was no middleware. And then it was coming back or whatever. Anyway, he used to nerd out and talk to me about that all the time. But then there was this one day that I was like, wow, social innovators really need to be middleware. They really need to be able to talk the language of business and language of not-for-profit, the language of government and the language of impact, and almost like pull everybody together and help them talk to each other. And so I feel like it would have been really funny if we'd had a conversation 15 years ago, because we probably would have been like not understanding each other, because I was a little not-for-profit girl trying to talk the social entrepreneurship game, and you were like, hey, let's just make money. And yeah, if we make an impact, great. But now here we are.
And now here we are.
Exactly. Social innovation. Literally the social innovation and entrepreneurship department of a business school.
You know what? The one thing is that you never know where you're going to end up. It is always not what you expect. But that made me think quite a bit about, I think, a lot of the conversations Erin and I had over time. I can be much more black and white. And Erin was much more comfortable with the gray, is much more comfortable with the gray. And so I know for me, a challenge in social innovation and social entrepreneurship and social enterprise is being much more comfortable in the gray, being less like, nope, it's like this or like this. And that's something that I feel like I've really evolved to over time. And that's a little bit what I'm saying. You know, there's my students at the end of class, I can't tell you how many times I'm like, well, net, it's complicated, you know, like they do current event presentations, all of them. So they talk about all different kinds of things. I mean, we've had such interesting presentation. There's so much going on in the space. And, you know, the questions often at the end are like, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Is this marketing or is this actually making an impact? Is this, you know, and it's like, both. Both. Yes.
Yes. And.
Yes. This is good and it is also bad.
At the same time.
Yeah.
Paradox.
Yeah. So I think being comfortable with that, and that's been a good growth opportunity for me as well.
Yeah, that's so great. So how did you get from Eat Well Global to running into me at Northeastern University as an adjunct professor of innovation?
Well, it's just like I said, Nikki, there is a moment, and it's so hard to teach young people this, to teach our students this. There is your idea of your path, and there is the universe's idea of your path. Mm-hmm. And there have been things that have happened to me in the last 2 years that I cannot explain. And I don't mean like, you know, super metaphysical, like, you know, things appearing out of nowhere, or like, you know, aliens coming down. But there's been so many flags on my path that led me to doing this. So while I was running Eat Well Global around 2021, I actually had been doing it for quite some time. And I realized that I probably have a deep entrepreneurial spirit that maybe wasn't beneficial to a consulting firm that is very specialized and niche and really on its way. So I come up with a lot of ideas. Mm-hmm. And I think there was a point where I needed a place to manifest those ideas that wasn't within this company because it didn't really need that. So I started another business. I met Jimmy Edgerton, who is the entrepreneurship and innovation director at the Tufts Friedman School, which is the nutrition graduate school at Tufts University, just down the road. And we realized we both really loved mentoring. That was like a topic that we both really cared about. It was the pandemic. We were at home. And we started a podcast called Augmenters, which actually was the #1 mentoring podcast on the HubSpot podcast network.
Woohoo!
Shout out HubSpot. And that was a really fun way to just start like getting just back to my entrepreneurial roots. And I realized how much I enjoyed it. And with Augmenters, along with our podcast, we also did consulting for institutions around creating really customized, beautiful, tailored strategic mentoring programs to help people get from point A to point B. And higher education was our customer category. So that's where we were seeing a lot of traction. We did big projects with quite a few universities in 2023, 2023. And I happened to be at a meeting where Samina, who is our department chair, was also there. This was actually I'm on the advisory board of a nonprofit called Hunger to Help Collaboratory. Samina happened to come because her mentor happened to be the person who was a strategic planner. I happened to be sitting near her, and I thought Northeastern would be a great client for augmenters. So I thought, well, I got to impress this woman because I am going to go sell her, and that's going to be our next big university. So I schmoozed her. I took her to coffee. And I was trying to sell. I spent the whole time talking about mentoring. And you could tell she was like, I don't really want to talk about this with you. And she kept trying to change the subject, talk about other things. But, I'm a salesperson, as you know. So I'm like focused on that. And at the end of the conversation, she said, I don't really want whatever it is that you're selling in a very nice way, because she's like the nicest person. Exactly. And then she said, but have you ever thought of teaching? You'd be a really great professor. And we're looking for somebody in social innovation.
So she sold you.
She sold me, and I walked out of that meeting going, oh my God. And you know what is the craziest thing, Nikki? 2 weeks prior, I had an entrepreneurship professor from Princeton on our podcast who had a whole massive career in media. This amazing woman telling us about what she was doing at Princeton. And the whole time, my whole body was like, oh my God, I want to teach entrepreneurship. First of all, I'd never taken a business class ever in my entire life. I hadn't been in a classroom since 1996. And then 2 weeks later, I meet Samina, and she asked me if I want to do this. So I just had all these green flags that were like, you should do this. And I love it so much. My first semester, I just had the best group of students. And I am still close with so many of them. And I hope some of them listen to this podcast because they know how much they meant to me. I love it so much. So, and then with augmenters, we ended up, a lot of higher ed was kind of cutting back on what they were spending money on. And I realized I really also love go-to-market strategy and sales coaching. That's kind of my, I've always been really in business development. So along with teaching at Northeastern, I also started a company called Connection 151 that does go-to-market strategy and sales coaching for B2B businesses, professional services businesses, different AI tools, etc. So I get to support my students and I get to support my clients, which is a really nice mix.
And you have a professional services consulting firm now.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Full circle moment.
Exactly. I am now a professional services business person. Yes, which I guess I always have been in one way or another. I think I just love giving people advice, and I can't believe I can get paid to do it.
So good.
Yeah.
And I think you said that you hadn't ever been in a business class, but why I think Northeastern is so perfect, you learn business experientially. Right. And that's what we're all about. So I think it was the perfect fit.
And I have to say, I'm getting goosebumps. I just think the students are amazing. They are so serious in the best possible way. They really are motivated and they really they take what they're doing really seriously. And I think that is just I'm super inspired by them all the time. Again, feel like I just landed in the exact right spot for me.
Yeah, that's so great. I love that. Being where you are now, being a professor, which me being a professor, never dreamed that this would be a thing until I was working on a professional role at a university in Australia. And I met a 90-year-old economics professor. And he was just high on life, loving what he did. I'm pretty sure he probably had a TA grading his assignments at that point. But,
shout out TAs we don't have.
I was like, being a professor is my retirement plan. And this is little 20, probably 26-year-old. Being a professor, that looks like a great retirement plan. And I just got there a little earlier than I anticipated. But it was just never anything that I dreamed of, whereas it kind of seems like the same for you. But it's the best.
And I love, you say this all the time. You're like, this is the best job in the world. Yeah. And there's quite a few people in our department who say that. This is the best job in the world. And I have to be honest, I know I can get really choked up, but I've gotten such sweet notes recently, of not even just sweet, but really hey, I'm thinking about things differently because of what you taught me in my class. And we have a lot in our courses. We have a lot of, I'm sure finance is like the number one concentration in our business school. Yeah. So we have kids that are like, consulting, banking, finance, and getting them to think differently about impact and whether or not they decide to go on to be social entrepreneurs or work in the impact investment space. The fact that they have this foundation is going to change how they interact within their business. So whether they're like, hey, when they're the CEO, they're like, we need to have a social impact, we need to have like corporate social innovation, or, I think it just plants seeds that we don't have any idea how they're going to end up. Of course, that's impact. But when you talk about purpose, it's hard to be like, this isn't purposeful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's hard to question what you're doing every day. It's very direct to be able to see the impact I think that you're making, which is great, because sometimes you can toil away in a business forever and it's hard to see what the direct impact is for that.
Yeah. No, we definitely see our impact, good or bad.
Yes.
Because they tell us if it's bad, which is great.
Yes, so exactly.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I totally agree with you. I'm like, if you want to go out, like one of my students was just saying in class today, like he's going to be a banker.
Yeah.
But he's like, how cool is it going to be to get to change the system from the inside? And I love that as well, because I'm like, I think about it like we've got this little stealth army going out into the world that are passionate about doing good with their skills, and slowly the tables will turn.
100. And we have our students are doers. Like there is no joke that there's no doubt they will be doing.
Yeah.
They will absolutely be doing. And to your point, if they can be doing something, and we don't even know what that's going to look like. And to your point, it could be small or it could be really huge.
Yeah.
We don't know.
It's going to be huge as they all add their little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I love hearing, like I'm 5 years in now, almost 5 years in. So speaking to some of the students that I had way at the beginning, like it's really cool to like see where they are 5 years into their career and what they're doing and where they're pivoting and all of that sort of stuff. So I love that. I'll be getting a few of them on the podcast soon.
Yay! That would be great.
Yeah.
The Alumni Network.
Yes, it's so good. Okay, so, we all have those moments where we're younger, where maybe hindsight would offer us a little bit of perspective. So I've been thinking specifically about that, like early 20s, bumbling out of university, trying to work out where you are in the world. If you could like tell that version of yourself something or some advice or whatever, what would you say to her?
I never would have guessed that I was going to be a success. I really never would have guessed that I was going to have a lot of success. I think
You were an assistant manager at a startup at 17 and you thought you weren't going to be I'm sorry, but that's amazing.
I really I just kind of, I think because, again, I did like so poorly in school. I think that I really, and I had like tried athletics. I'm super tall. Like I should have been an athlete, but I was like, it didn't really click right away. I always felt like not a loser, but like not a winner. Let's just say.
Just
I was like
in the pack.
Yeah, but like kind of towards the bottom. And so I think I wished I had thought more highly of myself earlier on. But though at the same time, I've always been a bit of an underdog. I'm always kind of trying to prove to my earlier self that I can do it. So I think, your story always evolves the way it does, but I would tell her like, oh my God, you've got this. Like you have got this and you need to think better of yourself.
Yeah.
And it took a while. I would say for me, once I was really able to dig into work, I think it helped me a lot. I think being in school wasn't the best thing for me. So it's very, 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 very ironic that now I'm teaching at a university. I did fine in college. And I ended up graduating from Tufts. So like, I kind of pulled it together towards the end there. But yeah, I don't want you to worry. But I, and I wish I was taking classes on entrepreneurship or social enterprise, or I wish I was able to use maybe what some of my skills were that were different than, being able to take multiple choice tests or, sit quietly for hours at a time.
Yeah. But I mean, the great thing about school and maybe not being so great at school is that you're probably making school better for people like you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
As a professor, like honestly, with everything, like with social media, with AI and all of that sort of stuff, I find like attention span isn't what
Yes.
it used to be for all of us.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes everyone kind of pins that on the youth generation. And I'm like, have you looked in the mirror lately? Like kind of thing. We're all kind of bought into this stuff at this point and it's impacting all of us.
Yeah.
And I think it needs to be done differently. And it needs to be done for somebody that maybe can't sit there and read a 20-page article and be like, I'm pondering philosophy.
Yeah.
And so I think you having, that experience that you have, but being clearly very successful at this thing that we teach, you can kind of make it better for the ones that are going through that might be a little bit more like you and not be just fully book smarts. Because that doesn't translate to success in entrepreneurship specifically, right?
Yes. No. Being able to take multiple choice tests is not a predictive of how you're going to succeed as an entrepreneur.
Either it's writing a really great essay.
Exactly. Because nobody's going to read it. Well, and so I love how you say that. Thank you for that. Because for me and for my students, I am so I want to know who you are. Mm-hmm. And I want you to know who you are. I start off a lot of my classes, as you know, with a writing exercise with a pen and a piece of paper and a prompt. And I give them 15 minutes to just write about what do they think of this topic? Like, what do they think of something? And connect, to really kind of encourage them to get to know themselves better and get to really know what do they care about. So their projects are really focused on what is it that they really care about? How do they work together to bring this enterprise into life? So I really want them to, and I have daughters that are 20. My younger daughter is about to be 21. I can't believe it. Shots all around. And my older daughter's 23. And I think I've been very focused with them on really just, understanding who they are and what do they need and what is important to them. Mm-hmm. What do they care about? What can they live with and what can they not live with? And then how do they present that to the world? Mm-hmm. My students also all have to do presentations and they all, get up there and say, who are you?
Yeah.
Who are you presenting to this class of people and who are you as a person? And I think helping them really develop that at this point is going to be probably the most beneficial to them.
Yeah.
They've all been great at, to get into Northeastern is forget it. You have to, the hurdles. So I know they're good at test taking. I know they're good at,
right.
memorizing and regurgitating, but do they know who they are? And how can, you help them tap into that?
Yeah. One of the phrases that my students probably everybody else I know as well, we say quite a bit is how you show up in the world is more important than what you do. And if you don't know who you are, how do you know how you're showing up? So, yeah, I love it.
I love that too.
I love that our students get both of that crazy.
Well, I'm so excited now that I can just give them this podcast at the beginning of the semester and be like, please listen to this.
Because we're awesome.
Yes, please listen to this. This is my expectations of you. And this is the philosophy that you're coming in with.
Yeah.
But I think, and I think that is, you also, I know it's so cheesy, but, people want to do business with people that they like. And they want to do business with people whose values align with theirs. I think when I immediately met you, not only are you brilliant and not only are you a fantastic professor, but you're just a lot of fun and you bring good energy and you bring interesting ideas and you always have something new that you're doing and we go do fun stuff together. And I think that helping foster that sense of for their students to be somebody who's doing something that you care about so that you are able to bring that great energy. Mm-hmm. You're able to be somebody, an investor's like, oh my God, this kid is so amped up about this clean water initiative in this country. I can't believe it. Yeah. Fine.
Let's give him a go.
Fine. Just here's the money. Go do it. I'm in, versus somebody who is, kind of not bought in and or, drowning in facts, but tapping into what is their authentic self. And I think, we cannot possibly do a podcast of any kind without talking about AI at some point, but not, who are you? Mm-hmm. Use AI all you want. That's great. But who are you? And who is the person that is showing up in the world? So yeah, I think that's really, really important. And I appreciate that our university values that.
Mm-hmm.
Our university values, like, these kids as individuals and what kind of contribution they're going to make.
Yeah, totally. I think I love that also the university is really focused on like utilizing AI for its capability, but also realizing that you as a human do work differently now, or you as a human are the one that has the human value.
Yes.
And yeah, I found myself just this semester specifically, I use AI a lot in class doing activities or to ideate and things like that. But I find myself a lot saying to the students, well, what does your brain think?
Yeah.
Right? Because we get to the point where we get to the end of what AI's capability is, and it's not right yet. So it's like, okay, what does your brain think? You've got 3 different AI versions. Somewhere in there is the right answer. Like, let's now use our brains to put it together, the best bits of all of this.
Yeah.
And things like that, because I'm like, that's what you're going to have to do now.
I also really appreciate how our university has just, been like, this is what's happening. This is how we're going to do both, and I think schools have kind of gone in a variety of different directions, but Northeastern is, always a bit ahead of the curve. And I hope that I am striking the balance, just it sounds like you are also hoping to strike the balance by having handwritten exercises. They have to take a handwritten quiz, which, by the way, is very hard to grade. I just want to say 40 handwritten quizzes, and my handwriting's terrible.
Do they know how to write?
They actually do, and their handwriting, like 90% of them is better than mine. So I'm like writing notes on the side, and they must be like, what is she even saying? Is she like 17-year-old? Like, what is happening? So, but I want them to, be able to study and be able to form essays and all that as well. And I can say yesterday we had a sort of a cultural competency project where we took a social enterprise that was about literacy, and I had everybody break into groups. We were remote yesterday with the snowstorm, and said break into groups and come up with a different country, a different population, a different area, and how is this project different? And because of AI, in 20-minute breakouts, they could come back and be like, well, actually, in Nicaragua, literacy looks a little bit different, or you might want to be thinking about it this way, or in Panama, it's actually like super humid, so you may not want to be sending books because that might not really work, or maybe there's other ways you want to do it. Or, if you're in Brazil in like a tiny space, don't send a book every month. Like there's no room for that. So they are able to like access this information so fast and then come back and present it. Now, is this the most accurate? No, they had 20 minutes to do it. But otherwise, I don't know how else, they'd even be able to do that fast and bring it back. So there's a huge power to it as well. And I think you need both.
Yeah.
You need to be able to get up and present without any notes, tell me what you think, and you need to be able to very quickly access information. They're creating these global social enterprises. We don't have time to go to India and sit with people and understand if children their children with dyslexia need X, Y, and Z. We don't know. So we're creating AI stakeholders and we're interviewing them and we're generating, these businesses. So it gives them a chance to like have access and be able to generate big ideas and have access to the information that they need. Yeah. To be able to do this in, a semester long. Now, if we had 4 years, we could come up with something totally different. But it's kind of fun.
Yeah, I love it.
It's really fun.
And I love, like, this is something that I've just realized just now. Because we are the social innovation and entrepreneurship concentration.
Here we are. This is the whole crew. This is the crew.
And so students over the course of their concentration have to take 3 classes between the two of us.
Yes.
And we're sending out students into the world, like social innovators in the world that know how to use AI and scale their impact, making a positive impact in the world with AI. I think that's really cool. And that's something that I've never thought of before. But we're doing that together.
Yay! Making an impact.
Yes, I love it. Okay, so my final question for you is what does the future look like? Career journeys, like we are where we are now, and with all the lessons, like where are we going with this?
You and I or me?
Where are you going with this? What's next? What's exciting? What's happening right now? Anything that you want to share? Oh my gosh,
everything is exciting. Everything is exciting. The universe has plans for me that I can't even get my head around. I mean, so I think what has changed for me is, I said this on this other podcast, but I was like, I'm a recovering hustler, right? I hustled my entire career. hustled nonstop. And I have come to realize that at this age, great things come to me and I don't have to necessarily hustle for them. The right things come along. And if I continue to just take the next right actions, then the right things, the right clients, I don't have to like hustle all the time, which has been an incredible, what can I say? It's been a big transformation for me. And I think, so for me, there is an element of whatever's next. Obviously, as you know, I'd love to, be full-time at the university. We'll wait and see. When the opportunity comes up, when it's right, it'll be right. But I really love the consulting work I'm doing. I feel really grateful to get to support business owners on their scaling their business. And I've loved being in Boston. There's so many interesting people doing interesting things, especially in the social innovation space. People are so smart. Like, a pickleball, they're like, oh, I'm a PhD with whatever, and I'm doing that. It's like, could anybody be doing something lame? No, you all are literally the most brilliant people on a pickleball court ever in like the history of the world. So I feel like I am right where I'm supposed to be. And I feel like just continuing to have a good focus and a good energy and just trusting. If I show up and I, take care of what I need to take care of, everything that's supposed to happen is just what's going to happen. So, and that comes with being 51, I don't think I would have had any belief in that when I was, 35. But yeah, that's kind of what I see moving forward.
So good. And I think maybe it probably wouldn't have been true at 35.
Yes.
Like, because I don't feel like that would have been true. It's not like you're earning your stripes at that point.
Yes.
But you still, the hustle that you did then is probably paying off now. Whereas if you didn't hustle then, the momentum of the hustle would have run out already.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes. I think I maybe hustled a little too hard for a little bit there. But yes, overall, totally agree. Totally agree. That was the time. Yeah, that was the time for it. That was the time for it. And to your point, like, I think it's so exciting to think about working in, in a university with, as long as I continue to grow and evolve myself, I want to continue to grow and evolve with the students. But the most important thing is that I am able to continue to provide them what they need, not just what I want to do. So I love, learning new things and evolving. So I think as long as I continue to be excited about that, I think I'd love to keep doing it as long as I can.
Amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much again. Thank you.
I'm pretty sure this is probably going to be part 1. I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm sure Julie will be back.
We can do a panel with some of our students.
We could. That would be really fun. I was also thinking we could do you, me, and Loredana.
That would be hilarious. I think Loredana's her own episode.
We're definitely doing that.
Okay.
It would be really funny to have us all around the table and just turn the mics on. But thank you so much.
Thank you. I can't wait to hear it and share it with my students.
And
go Huskies.
Yes, go Huskies. And let's go get some food.
Yes, food.
Woo! I hope you really enjoyed my conversation with Julie Meyer and that you were inspired by her story. One of the themes that I am hearing across all these interviews, and a theme that has been present in my own story as I've shared a little bit more in these podcasts, is that a lot of us wish that we were a little bit more gracious and kind to ourselves and had a little bit more confidence in ourselves at the beginning of our story after university when we were trying to work things out. I think that if we had the confidence or just the assurance in ourselves that we have now, then we would have been more comfortable maybe asking for help, or maybe admitting that we didn't know everything we were doing, or maybe even just felt more comfortable in our own skin. So I hope that you, as you look at yourself and your career and the journey that you're about to embark on, if you were just about to graduate, and just take a breath and believe that you've got this. And I hope that all of our stories have inspired you a little bit more to step out and see what the world has to offer you and what you have to offer the world. Thanks so much for listening.